Welcome to Medical Associates Health Check. I am Dr. Christopher Bristow. I am a specialist physician in internal medicine and the founder of the Concierge Medical Clinic. And today with me, I have my co-host.
Hi, I am Dr. Laisha Salvaraja. I'm the clinical administrator for Medical Associates Hospital, as well as the head of accident and emergency.
Right, and today we have with us a special guest, Mr. Winston Williams, and he is a financial planner who is attached to
Pan
American Insurance Group.
So we're doing something slightly out the box today, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about how healthcare could be made affordable to the public of Trinidad and Tobago. Because most of the time we look at, we have two healthcare systems. We have the public healthcare system and the private healthcare system. Private healthcare system, as we know, is a paying institution most of the time. And people either pay upfront or they use insurance. And one of the things that came up from one of our readers on our social media pages was that private healthcare is not affordable for the average person. And somebody else had pointed out, actually, with insurance, it can be. So I thought it was a really good idea. We discussed it, and the outcome was that we thought we'd have a chat about it. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start by explaining insurance concepts and going through that for the people to understand.
Okay. So one of the things I'd like to say first, before we go into the discussion regarding group health or health insurance as a whole, is that insurance is one of the most misunderstood financial instruments. Insurance is a financial tool to mitigate against the risk that we face. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we may insure a car in the case of an accident, or home in the case of fire, earthquake, and then we insure a life in the case of death. But something that is much more frequent than any of those incidents is the issue of getting ill and having to go to the doctor or go to the hospital. And that is not always a function of poor health management. It can be an accident. It can be any number of things. And then and only then, when we are faced with a situation like that, we realize, well, this thing can be pretty expensive. So the whole concept of insurance, in particular health insurance, is to create pools of people, hundreds of thousands of people. They come together into what we call a single plan. Mm-hmm. And they will contribute what we call a premium, some payment. And the insurance company will say, okay, we know from this sample size of, let's say, 200,000 people, 5% will get ill. We don't know who, we don't know by name, we don't know what the issue would be. But we believe because we manage such large pools, we can use the money that is paid into the plan and pay these medical costs for these persons when the event does occur. Mm-hmm. And that's the simple concept of insurance. Okay. It's all about pooling.
Right. So in terms of when you're using insurance, like Laisha was saying, some people who don't have insurance and they are faced with a sudden cost might be taken aback by the actual cost of healthcare. And to be fair, if you compare healthcare the cost in Trinidad compared to, let's say, U.S. standard costs, our healthcare is actually not that expensive.
No, nowhere near the cost of the U.S. actually. Yeah.
So, I mean, as a layman, looking at insurance, you might be like, oh God, I could probably do something with my $500. I probably not going to get sick until I'm like 50, 60 years old. And some people might be willing to take that risk. How would you speak to somebody, to convince them that insurance will be an added benefit? How do you see a benefit of that premium that they'll be asked to pay?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The thing is, most people only tackle this whole issue of medical costs when something happens to them. Mm-hmm. And, I remember once a client said to me, boy, Winston, when that happens, I will manage it. Mm-hmm. And I said, and if you can't manage it, what are we going to do? We're going to have a curry barbecue, GoFundMe? Mm-hmm. He said, well, maybe. And I said, what happens if it happens to your child? Would you feel just as confident that you'll be able to meet it? He said, well, absolutely not. I said, so then what can we do, or what should you do to be able to protect yourself, protect your child, should something happen, that you could manage the costs? And most companies, they would provide, I think because it's more the ethical thing to do, some sort of coverage, because what happens is if it does not exist within the organization, then the employee comes to the owner or the manager of the business and says, can you give me a loan? And then that becomes a burden now, because that's going to be for a long period of time. And then there are limits to which the company are willing to go. So with or without the company's plan, you should have some sort of protection in the case of it. Now, for companies that don't offer a health plan, and there are very few, I believe, because I think most companies see the benefit of doing it. In recent times, the credit unions have come together and said, listen, we have 20,000 members, 30,000 members. Why don't we put everybody here into a plan? Because of the mere value of the mere size of the organization allows you to get deep discounts for plans. So it makes it very, very, very affordable when the group size gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Of course.
Yeah.
So if you can't get it through your company, if it's not available, then you will want to seriously consider going to one of these credit unions, because they have some big plans.
Some banks do it as well.
Yes, some of them do that.
A lot of big financial institutions are doing it now, which is a nice thing to see, because it means they are showing interest in their employees. And it's not a short-term thing that, like you said, you could get sick at any time. You don't know when it's going to happen. And we don't mitigate against that risk very well.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you think about it, when the credit union provides health insurance, it seems as an added benefit for their membership. It's also protection for them, because if the client is unable to pay their medical bills and they have a choice between paying the doctor or the hospital or paying their loan, I think they're going to probably pay the hospital first, and then the credit suffers there. You know, and that's why, like, even the banks, if you're taking a mortgage, they want life insurance because they're not in the real estate business. They don't want to sell your home. So it really makes sense to look at all the risks you face in a financial context and find the appropriate type of plans to deal with that.
Makes sense.
So in terms of the plans, we would, as we are medical affiliated.
To stick a pin in that, Brister, because actually when we come back from the break, we will be discussing what medical plans may be available for you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I was diagnosed with colon and liver cancer. Hearing the news, I was devastated. Having to go overseas, that could be stress and away from your family. Medical Associate, there was no other place to go, and I'm glad that I did, because they made my journey even better. I'm more comfortable. They made me part of the family. So besides my immediate family, I now have another family here. I was asking about the cost, and she was like, don't worry, we could organize. So that was a burden taken off of my shoulder. It was like a personalized thing. It wasn't just like the cost, because I've heard that it's so expensive to do this, but they treat you as an individual. I would like to thank Dr. Raghunandan, the office manager here, the nurse in particular who is here with me during the chemo, and Dr. Bim. And also Dr. Solomon, because he was the one that did the colonoscopy, but they made me feel comfortable. I would recommend Medical Associates because, number one, the care that you receive. They make you feel comfortable, and being part of a family besides your family. Cost is not that matter. What matters is to get you better. So I'm glad that I have this option here, and many other people will also have this option here if it is that they just do their research. For anyone who is going through this, don't lose hope, keep the faith, and know that once you have a positive mindset, you can get through this. Together with the medical staff, together with your family, it can be done.
At Medical Associates Oncology Unit, we know every cancer journey is unique and deeply personal. That's why our team of expert oncologists, nurses, and specialists are here to provide you with world-class care right here in Trinidad and Tobago. From early diagnosis to advanced treatment options, we offer cutting-edge technology and compassionate support every step of the way. We're here to guide you emotionally, mentally, and we understand how costly treatment can be. So, we have reduced our prices to assist you financially as well. Every aspect of your journey matters to us. With expertise you trust and care, you can feel Medical Associates, the Caribbean's #1 comprehensive and internationally accredited hospital.
Welcome back, guys. So before the break, we were just about to get into the types of plans and that's applicable in this scenario, which relate to health. For me, I mean, I always, it might be unfair to you, but I'll be honest. And I think many patients share this opinion that, sometimes insurance might seem a little bit scammish, right? And people feel like when they pay into insurance, they don't get much out of it. But there should be some promise to them that they will benefit from it should they become unwell, right? And sometimes there's always a way out that the insurance companies might find a way to kind of dance around their, I would say, commitment to the patients. And that's why some people might have a negative perception about insurance. Right. So as a financial planner yourself, how do you manage dealing with that opinion that patients might share and kind of convert them towards, a favorable perspective on the insurance itself?
Yeah, that's a very valid point there. So very often when I speak to people about their experience with health insurance, and I ask them if it was their personal experience or someone close to them, 99% of the times it is not that. It is somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who told them this and who told them that.
Right.
And we know how that works. The story changes after it gets to about the third or fourth person. But anyway, the key thing to help people to better appreciate this is to explain how the plan works.
Okay.
Health insurance is not designed to pay 100% of the costs because the company has to manage that, because they can be medical institutions, they can be unscrupulous doctors, they can be pharmacies, there can be anybody who will say, if they're paying everything, what does it matter to you? It's 1,000 instead of 500, right? So they find ways to manage it so that people don't just get up one morning and say, look, I'm not feeling so good, let me go by the doctor and spend $300-400, right? So the way the companies manage that is they will say, okay, number one, there are limits that we may have per particular type of illness. And that limit could be a 1-year limit, which is renewable every year, a 3-year limit, or sometimes a lifetime limit. So people need to examine the plans because all plans are not the same. For every claim, there's something called a deductible. And what that deductible is the amount that the patient, the client, pays upfront.
Right.
And then the difference is now subject to something called coinsurance, which means the insurance company will probably pay 80% of the difference and the patient pays another 20%. Some companies are 70-30, some is 60-40. So when you are examining a plan, don't just compare the premium. Compare the limits.
What are you getting in?
Right? Whether it's 1 year, whether it's 2 years, whether it's a 3-year renewable. Some plans are not guaranteed renewable either. So it means if you have a year where you pay a heck of a lot of money, they can come back upon renewal and say, listen, the claims ratio was too high and we're not willing to renew, or we're willing to renew at a substantial increase. Because at the end of the day, if the pool of money dries up, the money has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And that is what the premium represents. So what would help to mitigate against what you just talked about there, Doc, is clarity. Ask the questions. What am I covered for? What am I supposed to pay? What are you going to pay? What is required in the process of a claim? Because that's where a lot of the times things happen, is the claims process is not clear.
Okay.
So someone has a claim and they have 60 days to submit your claims. And 6 months after, they say, oh, shucks, I didn't do that. But the time was passed. So be very clear. Work with your planner, work with your insurer. And when in doubt, check it out.
Okay.
Good advice.
So most people want to know what is like a minimum plan versus maximum. I suppose maximum could be any amount of money, but the average person is asking, how much money am I expected to put aside every month for healthcare coverage? And let's say just for an emergency scenario, what are people looking at here?
Right. So, I mean, I can answer that question in two ways. For any emergency, not just health emergency, from a financial planning perspective, one should have 6 months, 3 to 6 months of their monthly expenses set aside.
Okay.
Right? On the other side now, from the health side, the thing is to examine the plan that you're getting into carefully and make sure it's something that you can afford. You may not be able to afford the $2,000 plans or the $5,000 a month plans because there are different types of plans. So a good way to do the analysis is to look at what is called group plans. So group plans, that's what the companies may offer. Or if you go through the credit unions, you may enter a group plan. Those tend to be less expensive. And you can choose because the plans tend to be tiered. So they may have a plan with a $500,000 major medical limit. They may have one with $1 million. They may have one with $2 million. Then to build on that, some people have what they call individual health plans, which are the kind of the big boys, so to speak, in terms of plans. Those plans can go up to $1 million US, $5 million US dollars. But those plans tend to be primarily major medical plans and not what I like to call the cough and cold type of plan for these small things.
Okay. And you're looking at starting range at what kind of cost?
The cost is generally determined by age, health, gender, and whether you have dependents or not. So there's no standard thing, but you can start at 100. You know, it depends on if it's a group, if it's individual, and what type of plan you choose.
Yeah. I mean, I like how you started off and you said that, it's a balance of risk, right? For me, insurance is a risk, because, if you don't have it and something happened, well, you're kind of out of pocket, depending on your financial situation, right? But how do you help somebody choose, right? In a game, this is literally a game where you have, 10 big companies.
Hold on. Your burning questions will be answered after the break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and you'll be finding out more about how healthcare is affordable.
AI technology is changing healthcare. And at Medical Associates, our new AI-powered MRI scans give you clearer images in half the time. And right now, you can get $800 off your MRI at our St. Joseph branch. So call us now to book at 662-2766, extensions 4072 or 4073. At Medical Associates, we make it easier to get the clarity you need with the care you deserve.
Our CT scan services are quick, comfortable, and designed to detect internal issues early, often before you feel a single symptom. Because the best way to treat something is to catch it early, and Medical Associates makes that easy.
Just call 662-2766, extension 4072.
You're in expert care at the Caribbean's #1 comprehensive and internationally accredited hospital. Don't wait for signs. Take control of your health with ease and confidence at Medical Associates, where care always comes first.
So welcome back. So we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. So really how you help somebody choose the policy or the plan, I would say, because I prefer that, a plan rather than a policy, because policy just sounds like, okay, I just pass my money and I get no benefit. The plan is that I would pay into an insurance, but I would have to extract some benefit from it. So how do you go about? And now we have patients with cancer, we have patients with all sorts of chronic diseases that could pop up before or after you get a policy. Right. So how you go about structuring something like that for someone and, ensuring that is the right fit for that patient.
Right. So the first thing I would start with is to find out whether the client has any sort of coverage at all whatsoever. Because some people say, well, yes, I have health insurance. I have critical illness insurance, right? Or I have a cancer policy. Well, that deals with specific illnesses, as you would know, and would not cover your visit to your doctor or to your dental surgeon, right? Or you have to get glasses or whatever. It wouldn't cover those things. Those are specific illnesses covered, and if you are diagnosed with it within 30 days, it will pay a lump sum. But even the having critical illness is misunderstood. Because critical illness cover was not intended to pay medical expenses, but to pay the expenses that occur after critical illness.
Right.
So health insurance comes first.
Right.
So one would want to have health insurance before you have critical illness. One would want to have health insurance before you buy a specific cancer product, because what happens if something happens to you and it's not cancer? So you would look at the situation. Is it an individual? Is it an individual and one, maybe a husband and a wife? Is it a single parent and child, or is it a family plan? So that's how the pricing also goes. So you'll have single and one, family, right? So when we look at that, you'll see the outline for major medical limits and the different limits for different sicknesses and so on. What generally determines which plan is chosen by the client is the question we all talked about. What can they afford when they have all these other bills to pay? But I tell people half a loaf is better than no bread at all. So it's better you start with, even if it's the most basic of plans, which may be a $500,000 major medical, annual renewable, and you have $300 for doctor's visits and all these different, like $2,000 a year if you go to have your eyes checked and so on. The limits tend to be lower, but still it becomes a big part of your ability to be able to meet those expenditure. So I tell people, start small and build from there. So to answer your question, you look at the benefits, yes, but you have to look at the costs, because you may start here, but as you go along and you're able to afford more, you'll want to increase the benefits, both for the volume or the maximum limits, and also maybe for the scope that is covered.
And how the policies will change. Let's say you do have a cancer, God forbid, somebody has a cancer while on their insurance, and they've made a claim against that disease. Does that change how the companies would treat with them for another medical condition that may come up?
No, I mean, generally, if it's a group plan, let's put it, if it's a group plan, you can't kick somebody off the plan because they've had a claim.
All right.
But what happened is they will look at it, the company will look at it and say, look, how many premiums did we collect? How many claims have we paid? How do they equate?
Right.
Now, they will, if there's a situation where it's one person and one illness that skewed the benefit, they will be a lot more sympathetic to that than if everybody was ill, And what you find sometimes when you have groups where it's an aging group, you find the claims start to come more frequently and become more expensive. So the companies will be sometimes a little bit reluctant, or they will just charge an appropriate premium for it. Right. That's how you manage it.
So what happens to somebody that, whether in a group plan or an independent individual plan, if they lose their job in the middle of their policy?
Well, the thing is, because health insurance does not have what we call cash values, there is an expectation that the client will pay the premiums every month. Some companies may even give you 30 days grace, even sometimes 60, depending on the circumstances. But generally, if it's an individual plan and you can't afford to keep it, then your plan will be terminated.
Would they consider adjusting the premium and adjusting the benefits?
Well, if it's an individual plan, you don't develop the plan for that person individually. What will happen, you'll have a pre-approved plan that is a plan A, plan B, or plan C. So if someone has plan C, assuming plan C is the higher limit, one may ask to come down to a lower plan. The company will look at it again. And the same thing will happen in the context of a group plan if it becomes too expensive because of the aging or the claims itself. The companies will adjust the benefits to suit.
Okay.
The whole idea is not to kick people off the plan. The idea is really to make sure that you have money to pay the claims when the claims are due.
Okay.
And because you also now have a regulator that is looking on and say, listen, guys, I need to make sure that you're collecting people premiums. And when there's a time for a claim, you're paying the claim. So there's an ombudsman, or if things are not working out the way, you can go to the ombudsman and say, hey, listen, this is is not working the way, so you have some recourse.
Right.
What about people that have they come in an emergency situation and it's something like a heart attack or a stroke, and it's time sensitive, but they don't have the amount of money that's required to put out urgently? Would your team consider, if Medical Associate sends you a letter saying this is the situation, or gives you a call say this is the problem, would you then give coverage to patients?
Absolutely. We will send you an authorization saying that these are the limits, but the person is covered, and this, so the extent of our liability is this. It wouldn't be whatever, whatever amount. There will be limits on the plan, and they will send you a letter saying that this is what it is, and you could go ahead up to this amount. We will be responsible for that.
And this is something that is accessible 24 hours a day?
24 hours a day.
Okay. Public holidays too?
Public holidays.
Okay.
Yeah, because people get sick on those days too.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, even for the international plans, we have a 1-800 number. So you could call from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And you'll get access to someone who will, make arrangements. Like for some of the international plans, we have a sort of a concierge service too. So if you have to go to do heart surgery or something major, we will make the arrangements and we will pay directly to the hospital, so we'll get the discounts.
And those international plans, are they funded in TT dollars or funded in US dollars?
Some of them are funded in US dollars, some are funded in TT dollars.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Williams, what hidden costs or charges or surprises can you expect with insurance plans?
I think nothing is hidden. I think some people are surprised because they don't read the contract.
Right.
But the contracts state parameters under which a claim would be paid or how it would be settled. And people only pay attention when there's a claim. So I'm just saying, ask the questions. Ask 1,000 questions before you commit. But don't ask the questions after and then be surprised by what the settlement is.
Yeah.
Right?
What is the one thing clients will tell you they wish they knew before choosing a plan?
I guess the thing is, I wish I had done this earlier.
Okay.
And I wish I would have probably taken out a plan that has a higher limit, because everything is so expensive. Last week, someone came to me, and they're having a GoFundMe and they're having a barbecue. And I said, listen, I will give you a donation rather than buy barbecue tickets, because, 3/4 of that goes towards the cost.
Right.
So better you give people cash, but sometimes by the time you can do that, it's not enough.
I mean, in all fairness, I think there's a common misconception that it's the institution that actually gets all of this money. It's really cost of expenses like consumables, drugs,
Right.
supplies. Those are the things that really take the bulk of the cost.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, that's not changing anytime soon.
And the cost of those things go up every year.
Correct.
Right?
I twice a year, it seems sometimes.
So when premiums go up, sometimes it's not because you have more claims in terms of the number of claims, but the value of each claim goes up, even if it was the same illness.
Correct.
And that's what has to be balanced all the time.
Yeah. In terms of like the plans itself or the policies and the fine print, like you say, is it possible for insurance companies to vary the terms and conditions of a policy, while under contract with a patient?
No, the plan, nothing can change during the policy year
Because it's a contract.
because it's a contract. But at the point of renewal, the company can change the limits, they can change the terms, they can change the premium, but they have to let you know. It can't be you can't be blindsided by it.
All right.
And
there must be disclosure, as you
there
say.
must be full disclosure.
Right.
Full disclosure.
And if you decide, well, I done with this, I can't get back my money.
No. And that's the thing about it. Because it's a pool, so we may not have paid you for a claim that you had, but we may have paid 25 other people. And that's the whole concept of pooling, is that you put all this money together, not knowing who is going to get sick, whose car is going to get into an accident, whose home is going to burn. But you pool all the money there, but when it happens, you have enough money to settle every person.
Okay.
Insurance or Susu?
Ooh.
I think it's easy.
Insurance.
Insurance first and Susu after.
You both want best of both worlds, don't you?
I mean, Mr. Williams, I'd like to thank you for your wealth of knowledge that you shared today. It's pretty insightful, and I hope that our viewers could have taken some of that information and see the benefit of health insurance, as part of their lives and being able to afford healthcare. And as a special treat, and the medical associates will be offering a special discount for Pan American clients at our medical associates hospital. So you could always check in with the hospital institution to see what benefits be ascribed to you as a customer.
Yes, you could feel free to contact our customer service teams who will be happy to assist you. So call us on 662-2766 extension 4024 or 4028.
So thank you all for viewing, and hope you could tune in to the next show that we have upcoming.